It's a great song. I think everything today will remind me of Carol, so. We're going to talk about self-compassion today, and I want to read from Ernest Holmes to start with. We can have no understanding of divine compassion unless we ourselves first exercise compassion. The very judgment by which we judge others becomes a self-judgment. It is as the law of life we're giving back to each one of us exactly what we have projected into it, as though everything that goes out from us must again return by a law of action and reaction. Compassion and caring are the ties that bind us together in mutual understanding and in the unified attempt to uncover the divinity in each other. Compassion is the most gentle of all human virtues, for it is the outpouring of the divine givingness through all. So we're using Brene Brown's book, and this morning when I was on live inviting people to join us, I forgot the name of the book. So it's The Gifts of Compassion. It's one of her older books, I think, but it's got guideposts. And so the second guidepost is Cultivating Compassion, Letting Go of Perfectionism. And I kind of looked and thought, do I suffer from perfectionism? Now, she says in the book, we all do. And I'm like, I got a lot of issues, but I don't know that perfectionism is necessarily one of them. I'm not the best housekeeper in the world. I don't care if there's dust. But, I was thinking, but you used to, until very recently, you would never go out in public unless you had makeup on. That's a sign of perfectionism. Like, truly. To be able to go out, I have ventured more now. I guess they say as you become a sage, it becomes less important to you. Or you start to really recognize your beauty. I don't know which it is, but it's like, this is who I am. I don't know that I'd ever come to Sunday service without makeup on, but I do go to the grocery store or even out to dinner sometimes. So as you all know, I have a prayer call with a friend at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. She's a minister down in California. And she was teaching a class, and one of her students told her this quote, and I thought it was a good way to start off discussing what does self-compassion look like. And so it's God said, love thy enemies. And I obeyed God. And I started to love myself. That's the root of self-compassion. If you want other people to love you, you really have to love yourself. We have talked about it a lot. Everybody is going to have an opinion, and that's okay. Your opinion about yourself is the one that's the most important. Because when you love yourself freely and totally and really own who you are, then you're able to listen to people. And if they have an opinion, it's okay. It doesn't change your day. It doesn't change your life because it's just their opinion. I'll never forget when I was speaking at a church, and I was not a minister yet. I was in homiletics, which is a class where you learn to speak in public. And I couldn't attend the class, the second half of the class, and so they said, you have to go to 3 churches and speak. And the first church I went to was, there were probably maybe 9 people there, so it was a nice way to get my foot wet. And when I was done, Reverend Gayle Stewart, I'll never forget this, because, I'm just beaming. And everybody's walking up, and they're so proud of me, because you can't find a more supporting group of people than your Sunday, the people you speak to on Sunday. And she pulled me aside and she said, I just want you to remember that those comments feel so good. And I want you to remember when someone says something unkind, that is their opinion. Just like all of these people that we take all of that good in, but the minute somebody says something, one person, and then we just, or is that just me? Does everybody suffer from that? Yeah. Oh, good. I thought maybe it was just me. You can throw a party, right? 100 people can show up at your party. You'll recognize the one person that wasn't at your party. And you'll be like, well, why didn't they come? Don't they like me? How come they do? And it's like, seriously, we have to start being grateful for what is. And so self-compassion to me, don't confuse it necessarily with self-care. Self-compassion is an act of forgiveness. And I told you all, or we did the book study on A Path to Wealth. And I started doing that daily practice, and I've done it now probably close to 30 days. And one of the things you do is you write a gratitude letter to your CSO, which is your chief spiritual officer, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it. You write a letter every single day, and then you read the letter out loud. And one of the pieces of my letter, because right now I have a letter and I'm rewriting it every single day, and I read it out loud every single day because it's the shift that I want to happen in my life. So one part of it is I love everybody, including myself, and everybody loves me. I am loved. I bless everybody, including myself. Everybody blesses me. I am blessed. I forgive everybody, including myself. Everybody forgives me. I am forgiven. Because it is a practice of knowing everybody on this planet is doing the best they can. And I think we forget that. Yesterday, in preparation for this afternoon service, Courtney and I were at Costco. And as we're leaving, there is a guy in a car parked directly behind a guy who has now loaded up his groceries and he wants to leave. The guy in the car, I think, is waiting for someone, not a parking spot. And he doesn't want to move. And they get into this verbal altercation, and I'm like, oh, we need to take a breath. Collectively, as humanity, we need to take a breath. And I recognize that if I'm recognizing that in other people, that exists within me, that fight or flight thing that we seem to be collectively doing right now. And so to just take a breath and give everybody a moment, I thought this morning, maybe I should have walked up to the car and said, sir, all you have to do is back your car up just a little bit and let him out, and then you can pull back in. And I thought, in today's environment, no. I don't know. I don't know if I should have. Maybe I should have. But what I said to Courtney is, we need to start being kind again. We need to start recognizing in each other that every single one of us wants the best for our friends, for our families, for our spiritual communities. Every one of us. And in saying that, it might look different to every single one of us. But to have compassion for yourself, to know that, when I say it's just their opinion, guess what? It's just my opinion, right? It's just my opinion when I say something. I remember there's a Paul Thorne song, and it's called, now I'm not going to remember the name of the song, but it's about religion. And it's about how we all think we're right. Every single one of us thinks we're right, regardless of what we practice or what we believe. We all think we're right within the box of our religion. And his song, and the title of the song is, now I remember, you might be right and you might be wrong. And what if you could live in that place? To me, that is self-compassion. Loving yourself so much that you realize that your voice is just your voice. Your reality is your reality. And to speak from that place of compassion and kindness. And so one of the things to self-compassion is forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself for your past, forgiveness of yourself for today. And one of the things that I love is another practice that I'm doing with Cynthia. Have you done your reading today, Cynthia? Yeah, me either. Going to have to go home and do that. We're doing a 90-day practice that Bob Proctor and Marianne Morrissey started way back. And you read 4 chapters out of The Science of Getting Rich. And you read them for 90 days straight. And what happens is if you miss a day, that's why Cynthia and I are tag teaming each other because we don't want to miss a day. If you miss a day, you start over. And the chapters, if you're interested, are 4, 7, 11, and 14. And what I love about reading that, because this was written in the early 1920s, it's the same thing I'm talking about right here. He talks about truth. Don't get caught up in the illusion of life. There is truth. You are whole, complete, and perfect. That's a truth. What we see out in our human realm may look very different from that. But the truth is, if we focus on the illusion of life, what's going on, if we focus on all of the unrest that is happening, we're just creating more unrest. Because that's where our focus is. And don't we create our reality through our thoughts? And so to remember, self-compassion is living in that truth. Can I pull myself back? Can I stand in the truth of I am whole, complete, and perfect? Regardless. Regardless, I am whole, complete, and perfect. And so to forgive yourself, in fact, he would say, there's nothing to forgive because it's yesterday. Just do better today. Don't future project. How many of us do that? Oh my God, oh, I know. Kim's hand went up so quick, I think there was a little gust of wind through the theater here. Her hand was like, whoop. But I know, because it was quick. She got a hand up quicker than me, which, is, I was right there with you. I don't know how you did that quicker than me. But yeah, we project out into the future. And one of the things that you learn is, okay, keep projecting. If you're going to go there, keep going. What's going to happen? What's going to happen if that happens? What's going to happen if that happens? And pretty soon you run out of what ifs. And when you run out of what ifs, you're like, okay, I'm still alive, right? So if I'm still alive, I can back that whole process up and say, I'm okay. And so not to live in the future. Now, that sounds a little counterintuitive when we talk about visioning and visualizing, doesn't it? Because we are setting our intention for something that we want to happen, and that's fine, but not to live there. Not to live in the future. I remember when I was living in Santa Fe, one of, I'm not going to remember his name, he's a person that channels, and he was talking to the community. And in Santa Fe, there are a lot of people who practice a lot of different modalities. Probably next to Sedona, Arizona, they might be running like this about how many different modalities of things you can get into. And he said to everybody, you chose to be here in this body. You chose that. So be here in this body. Stay here. Because sometimes we are so interested in what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. And self-compassion is loving yourself so much you can stay here. You can stay here and be present with each and every person you encounter. Now for me, like the squirrel moment, I have to remind myself of that. When I'm talking to somebody, to sit and really talk to them. and not do the, oh, I'm talking to Beth, but I wonder what Cynthia's talking to Kim about right now, just to, to hone in on the conversation that I'm having in front of me. And that might just be my squirrel mind. Maybe you guys don't do that, but it's really being present. Self-compassion is about mindfulness, about being mindful about what it is in your life that is working, and what is it in your life that you are ready to release and let go of. What practices, what thoughts, what beliefs, what is it in your life that you're like, woohoo, I love that about me. And what is it in your life you're like, Gayle, you might want to look at that and kind of rearrange that, maybe change that, right? And when you do that for yourself. I think one of the biggest, most powerful lessons that I have learned came through Code Red, which was the eating program that Courtney and Bea and I did together, and now there's many people in this community and beyond that are doing it. Second day, she sends out an email and she says, tell me your why. Tell me your why. And don't make your why about, because my husband thinks I should, or my mother used to tell me this, or that's not your why. Tell me your why. Why are you here? Why have you chosen to live, to breathe, to have your existence right here and right now? What's your why? That when you wake up in the morning, you're like, yeah, watch out, world. Her feet or his feet just hit the floor. Get ready. Because if you don't have a why that's yours, what's going to happen is you're going to get pulled and yanked around by everybody else's why. Have any of you ever lived that way? Yeah, we all do. We all do. And it's so just to own who we are, what our magnificence is, because every single one of you is God-informed. Every single one of you. And because of that, every single one of you has an opportunity to live your best life ever. And you have to figure out why. Why do I want to do that? What's my calling? What's pulling on my heart? What makes me get up in the morning and smile and say, look out, world? And so for self-compassion, it's about forgiveness. It's about mindfulness. And it's about gratitude. Gratitude. Do you know there is not one book out there, self-help? I don't care if it's about your prosperity. I don't care if it's about your health. I don't care if it's about the best relationship you're ever going to have in your life. You cannot pick up a book out there that isn't going to talk about gratitude and forgiveness. Gratitude and forgiveness. Make them a daily practice. Make them a daily practice. You've got that, I forgive everyone, including myself. Everyone forgives me. I am forgiven. Use that as a mantra. Ho'oponopono. And I know I say it differently. Everybody's got a way they say it. I always start with, I love you, thank you, please forgive me. No, that's not how I start it. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No. There's 4 of them, and I just lost it. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Because it's gratitude, right? They're simple steps. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be arduous. It doesn't have to be painful. It just has to be. One of the things I love about the science of mind is when you live it, you can watch your life get better. I'm not saying that if you come to church and that's all you do, your life isn't going to get better. I'm saying put it on steroids. Live this philosophy. That's what Ernest Holmes would want you to do. He wasn't much on churches, just so you know. This organization called Science of Mind or Religious Science or Centers for Spiritual Living, this was not his idea. His idea was, I have a philosophy that works for me. I want to talk about it because I want people to live their best lives possible. And then because he became so popular, then people said, we would rather come and listen to you. And could you train us on how to do what you do? I'm not going to say you have to, because you don't have to do anything. If you want to shift your life, if you want a path that is more clear, if you want to be able to say, dang, I love my life, more please, then start practicing what we teach here. Love yourself so unconditionally, no one on this planet would think of not loving you. Forgive yourself so completely and forgive others so completely that everybody would forgive you if there was anything to be forgiven. That's grace. That's love. And you know what? That was Carol Bath. That was who Carol was. Because she knew how to live and to breathe. Did she have her moments? Oh, Karen and I can tell you. Yeah, Karen's like, really? Yeah, she had her moments. We all do. Every single one of us. But what I know is she led with her heart. I don't think there's anybody here that would ever say Carol didn't lead with her heart. And so I just remind myself all the time to give myself grace, to practice forgiveness, myself first. If you're a perfectionist, and I know some of you are because you claimed it for yourselves, practice maybe scratching out a word on a piece of paper and seeing what happens. Perfectionism isn't healthy, according to scientists, because it keeps us living in a place of self-doubt and fear. Self-love, none of us can go wrong with that. And so, let's just take a moment and pray. Father, Mother, God, Spirit, right here and right now in my heart of hearts, I feel that love from within, all around me. In fact, I am reminded of a practice that I invite you all to do during this prayer. And it's a practice that Kim is probably aware of because it's a tapping practice. And it is a prayer that someone wrote, and then they actually put tapping to it. And so if you want to do it with me, you start at your eye, and you say, and you can repeat after me, love before me, and the side of your eye, love behind me, under your eye, love above me, under your nose, love below me, under your chin, thank you, Kim, love to the left of me, on your collarbone, love to the right of me, under your arm, love unto me, top of your head, love to everyone. Those are meridian points, and if you want to know more about tapping, I suggest you ask him. But it's from that place of love. It is from that place of love that we connect to the Spirit that is the truth of who we are. That one life that is God, that is me, that is all of you. There is no separation. We are confused or we see separation because of our form, but there is no separation. There is only God and there is only us. And so from that place of oneness, what I know to be true is each person here begins that practice of loving themselves so completely that they start to feel and know the truth of who they are, God in form. I know and bless each person here as they do this practice, as they start living this philosophy. They watch and become one with the Spirit that is the truth of who they are. And as they do so, their life becomes easier. Not necessarily without issue, easier. Because life is. Our response is what gets us all caught up. And so I know each one of us here comes from that place of connection and knowing, to that one life, to ourselves and to each other. Regardless, whether it's somebody we know or a stranger on the street, it does not matter. It is all one. It is what we teach here, a world that works for everyone. Not some people, not just us. A world that works for everyone. And so that is what I know right here and right now, in this time, in this space, in this moment, that we are blessed. We are blessed to be breathing, living organisms of the divine essence that I choose to know and call God. It is who I am. It is who I've come here to be. It is who you are. It is who you have come here to be. Breathe that in. Feel that in your body. That connection, that knowing, that love. And so I give great, great thanks. I give great thanks for knowing the power, the presence, the one that is me and all of you. I give thanks for the love that exudes